All right, we're recording this.
We've been doing some interviews so far.
All right, call this meeting to order. I'm going to open with prayer, if y'all don't mind. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you and we thank you so much for the chance to meet together, Lord, and just to be able to discuss important business, Lord, of the county. Lord, I have a heavy heart, Lord, today, Lord, for the Brooks family, Lord. I pray that you'll please just watch over this whole community, Lord, as everyone grieves. And I pray that you'll protect all the young lives, Lord, as they go through this, Lord. Be affected by anything except for the right thing for the citizens. And Lord, I just praise your name. In the holy name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Awesome. Roll call, everybody's here. This is wonderful. While we're here, I want to just make mention to new faces that we see here. And everybody make Steve feel welcome, our new staff attorney. And make Tim O'Brien, this is Tom on here, but Tim O'Brien, welcome too. He's our new citizen. So we're excited to have a full house today. Okay, so first order of business is the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for the approval.
Motion to approve.
The motion is seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. Okay, passes unanimously. All right, so next is approval of the minutes for last meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from last meeting.
Approve it. Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same token. Okay, passes unanimously. Wait a second, I have a quick... Can I have a question? I have a question. I messed over something. We have one thing on here. How do I go back and amend properly to go back and amend this personnel policies to be added to the agenda?
You'll have to reapprove the agenda.
Okay, got it. So, can I go backward and
Motion to reconsider
Okay.
the approval of the agenda.
Okay, do I get a second?
side.
A second on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same token. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So, it's been requested by Toby Ellis that we add this personnel policy, so to speak on this, down on the report of the road superintendent under new business. I'll entertain a motion to add this to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor say aye. Okay,
We're gonna call that B3?
Yeah, let's call that, we'll just call that B3, yeah, right there. And,
Personnel what?
personnel policy. Sorry about missing that, guys. I realized I did it right once I did, and I didn't want to tell on myself.
What was it for?
Okay, so, do we need to reapprove the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the agenda, yeah.
Okay, so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same token. Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, sorry about that, guys. And then moving on. Is there anyone who would like to speak today in public? Okay, so, make a motion that we... Yeah, okay, thank you. We're closing public hearing. Got a little rusty since we missed last month. I can't do that. Okay, so, report of the chairman. There is no old business. Make a motion, we discuss new business. Is that correct?
No, you're going to that side.
It seems so strange. I don't know why I'm not thinking straight.
Do you have a report?
I do have a couple of things. So, the first order of business we're going to discuss is volunteer fire department driveway, southeast number 1, Bethpage. And I'm going to allow Dr. Sumner to speak on that for us, because she kind of went out there and saw some things.
Yeah, so many of you got the video. It's pretty bad. The rut is all the way under the base of the driveway. It's dangerous. It nearly tore the bottom of my Acura out. Yeah. So it's, I don't know how they're getting their trucks in and out safely, but it needs to be repaired. And when the gentleman came and asked about it to help perhaps get funding to fix it, it was tossed to, it was at EMS, and then it got, I remember, it got tossed, general ops, and then it floated out into the space. So we need to come to a conclusion on what we need to do, because it is not a road, but it is a driveway. So I asked him, the chief, to get 3 bids and send them to Darryl, and I don't think Darryl's gotten that yet, because we want to know how much it would cost. And, you know, he was thinking that maybe we could come in, or some of the folks were talking about maybe the highway department, when you're out there doing your thingy, you could put the stuff down on the driveway or fix it. But honestly, I'm going to tell you, by looking at it, and my husband's a civil engineer, he looked at it and said, you will have to do a little bit more than just put a little blacktop on it. So that's the story.
So,
Who owns the property?
The volunteer fire department station number 1, and it's in Bethpage, and they actually own that facility.
wait, Tim.
They own the property, we do not own the property. The only reason it was brought to us is because we use the property. The other vehicles in the county sit there and do reports and drive in there and out of there. They're always in there, so it's going to damage our vehicles or get them stuck. When we looked at what the issue was, I looked at the videos and the pictures that Commissioner Junum provided, and it clearly needs to have some landscaping, dirt work done around it to get the water to flow properly, or any repair you make is just going to wash out in a matter of time and do it again, or worse. So I agree with what she's saying. There needs to be some piping or landscaping done around there to get it grading, you know, to get it to fall right. But we talked to him about bringing the bids forward, and last time the biggest part of the failure was the procedural part. They wanted to go to straight to highway and get highway do it, and I didn't think that was appropriate procedure, that we needed to bring bids forward and see what it's going to cost, to see if we wanted to see if highway could handle it. So that's where it was left
Yeah,
at.
I think the issue was that it was because they're a nonprofit, and it would look like we were giving nonprofit money without going through the proper procedure. So it had to go through the process.
So,
That's what I understood.
So we asked him to bring the bids forward to, which committee did we ask him? Last month.
To give them to the EMS committee so they could be forwarded on to budget, yes.
But we have not seen that yet.
so we don't own the building, right?
We don't own the property.
We don't own the property, we own the building?
No.
Okay, so it wouldn't go through general ops. We don't, it's not a county road, it wouldn't go through county, it wouldn't go through the highway department, it would be a whole different deal. So it would have to go through EMS to be proper procedure, and then it would have to go from EMS to budget, and then from budget to the county commission.
Right.
That's the only way it can happen.
But without bids, we just didn't think it was procedurally correct to even do it, so.
Yeah.
I made him a little bit upset, but I did talk to him afterwards, and let him understand that it wasn't, that we didn't want to help. We do want to help, because our vehicles use it, you know,
Sure.
cars,
But-
trucks, and ambulance, whatever.
And then I hate to ask, I mean, that takes out of Toby's budget for him to work, I mean, it just seems like.
That's why I wanted to move the budget, so that he could then look at it and see if it's something we could help out with, or if it's not something they can do, then it's not.
Well, I think that the appropriate thing, go ahead.
So you had the opportunity to drive out there and take a look at it?
No,
I'll be glad, I go through there all the time, I'll be glad to stop by and do an evaluation and come up with an assessment of what I feel like it needs, and I can apply some cost to it to give you kind of a budget number. But, you know, I would probably need to actually talk to Eric on how to do that. Usually when we deal with other municipalities, you know, I can deal with the schools or the county properties, different things like that. I just want to make sure I do it right.
Another piece of information that is important is, was it the chief or the captain?
I don't remember.
That came before us to ask for it. He has an excavator, and I think his side business is stuff like that, and so he was asking for funds, but if we denied, he was going to just have to do it himself. And I'm not suggesting we go down that road. I want to help him because it's our way of doing it, but it's something maybe a partnership or a help thing if we can't do it, but I would like to try to do it.
I understand. I think the thing, we got to be very careful, because it's not our money, it's taxpayers' money, and you know that as well as that. And I think that if we're not careful, we'll get into a place where that we're paying somebody to fix a property that we don't own, and it's like, it just gets really weird, and I don't think it's our place.
Well, the issue with that is, though, it's our vehicles that are going to get torn up too. So it's in our best interest to fix it. We're not doing favors for other people necessarily. It's a gray area.
I know.
So it is something to consider.
This would be my suggestion. I would just talk with Eric and with the highway superintendent. I think there's a problem in who owns the building, who owns the property in the county doing the work, but it needs to be done, that's for sure. I think a way of going around this, the only way of going around it, because I've served for a couple of years on the allocations committee, and the budget committee for charities, and that's where the fire departments, where that money comes from. And I think we need to get like Kim said, an estimate of what we're looking at, and then approach budget committee and ask them to reconvene the allocations committee. If I remember correctly, there were $2,000 or $3,000, maybe $4,000 left that we didn't allocate. Some of that may have been spent in the meantime, I can't remember. But in any event, it would be up to that allocations committee, I think. If not, you could open a door, you could shut back in doing a lot of this stuff or anything that comes along. But with this, it's through a procedure that we've been doing with allocations, and I just think that's the way we can get it fixed and properly.
Yeah, I think you're right, because our county vehicles are gonna be on there because of the nature of the property, even though we don't own it. So are we leasing it? Is that what?
Well, it's a
is that-
charity. I mean, we fund fire departments through this committee, though. That's where those grants came from, that this committee listened to everybody and decided how much to give each area, and fire department was one of them. The budget wanted to reconvene that committee to consider this. I think that's the way that would go.
So I'll entertain a motion if y'all,
I want to hang things down his note before, if you will, please. There was money left over, I remember, and I think we talked about that in the commission. Does that have anything to do with that senior center up in Portland, giving some money back to them? Was that different?
I think some of that may have come out of that, but it'd be worth checking.
I thought they
think it
gave
was
it
about.
back, though, or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got $9,000, they got 4, and then we voted to give them the 9,000 more, or that total of 9,000, so that kind of.
Did that deplete it?
I think it depleted.
That's what I'm thinking. But regardless, even if we don't have money there in that fund,
We need to just put it in their hands and let them look at it, and they may even have other funds that they could give to the allocations committee additionally.
so, can I have one question. Would that be appropriate to make the motion to possibly just forward that on to budget? To
Sure.
figure all of that out from there, or do we have to go through the step of having it
No, I would just forward it to it to them with the request that they send this to their charitable allocations committee.
So I'll entertain a motion that we send it to budget to have them find out what to do with it. Okay, okay, so I'll make the motion second.
And discussion, in the meantime, he can possibly put a value to that by the time it gets to budget.
What I'll do is I'll do a budget and put it on an Excel sheet, just email it all.
Is it too much to ask? I know it's-
Can he get the budget by Monday?
Yeah.
Good deal, yeah, then, okay, then we'll send it on the budget. And,
Maybe.
Would, who will send that on? Oh, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, who will send that on to make sure budget sees it? Christie, will you forward that to them, or is that something that you would do, Eric? I'm just learning that part.
I'm sorry, ask me that one more time?
If we send it on to budget, who is the one that actually says, hey, budget, this is being sent to you?
That would be somebody from your committee would actually send it to budget for that specific person. It's not a legal thing.
I don't mind, Mr. Chairman, calling that and just asking him to put it on, and he can confirm it to our minutes.
Good deal, okay. I don't mind doing it, but I'd like you to do it if you don't mind with the allocation that you were talking about. Okay. So, the next thing, it's on my new business, which I know nothing about, but I want to ask Toby immediately, if you don't mind, but the benefits of using Brian on county roads.
Well,
Would you mind, Toby, talking about that? Thank you.
I was asked about this some time ago, and I had made mention of Brian and Saul and the proper ways to use it for county roads or for any roads for that matter. And the things that we do is I had spoke about some of the practices we had done in the past, and Brian and Saul used correctly. You don't want to overuse it, but you can use it and it be effective for the short time that you need it in, and it doesn't really destroy the roadways. There's been occasions where, in the past, different municipalities, counties, city governments alike has added calcium to, they would fill the dump truck up with salt, and then they would run calcium over it. That's what I call making it hot. It makes it melt the ice and the snow at a much quicker pace, and, I mean, in minutes, really. And so what happens is, when people do this, they don't realize, I've seen city and county governments alike go out and do this, and they'll go out and put the salt on the hillside to melt the ice quickly, where that's going to be the most troublesome spot for people to get in and out in the mornings when they have ice and snow. What it does when you make this too hot, it actually burns the liquid HC out of the top layer of the mix. It makes a weakness in the mix in the roadway, and then you start seeing potholes pop up. That's the reason when you drive through some county roads, you'll see just a mile of really nice road, and then you go into an area with a lot of shade, and they're going up a steep hill, and then all of a sudden you see all the potholes. It's because they've over-salted it and made it too hot or added calcium. That's one of the things when I come out and spoke about during our campaign, we will not do here. I like brine. It's a diluted substance of the salt. I use both. Some of the things that I don't like doing, if I go out and I call it plowing the roads, I scrape the ice and snow. I don't ever scrape the asphalt. I make sure there's at least 3 inches when I come through. I just want to get the top layer off, put out some salt and let it melt it. And in many cases, the salt works good. I know we were out in the middle of the night that we did county development, that we went in, and by the time we come out, after about an hour being in there, it was already diluted and melted really good. And the good thing about that, when it melts and it starts running off, a lot of times it washes the salt off to the curb and gutter too. So that's what you want. That's where you have a crown of the roadways. It helps. So I just wanted to go over a few things about if we do this right and we use our head. When I go out and brine and salt, I'm not just doing it for show. There's going to be times that we sit there and we know we're going to get an inch or 1.5 inches, and you're not gonna see any trucks out. If I go out here and do all this work and spend $40,000 or $50,000 to when, you know, you can wait 6, 7 more hours and it melts on its own because the big light in the sky does its work, then, you know, I'm gonna make smarter decisions and let that happen naturally. So that was just some of the things I wanted to talk about, is I don't want to destroy our roads, I just want to make them better and make sure that we're not doing things to take away from our life cycle.
Any questions on that?
No, let me get this straight. So you salt and you brine, 2 different processes, am I correct?
Well, when you,
Tell us from liquid.
when I use brine is when we know an event's coming in,
Okay.
that's going to be it's going to be accumulation of ice and snow. You can go out and put brine ahead of time. So when it starts melting in one, it makes contact with it. It makes the freezing point much lower, and so it will melt off. And then the brine only lasts about 48 hours. Well, most events are over in that amount of time anyway. And so you kind of do that on the front end, and it just helps with the accumulation process to where it's not as much accumulation. And let's say that for whatever reason, snow slips up on you, and you've got 3, 4 inches down, we're going to go in there and plow and salt and do that. So there's kind of 2 different ways of doing it.
So, just the brine, correct me if I'm wrong, the brine is when you see the white stripes on the road that
Yeah,
look
I
like
know what
they
it is,
drag?
I just wanted to make sure I was correct on it was 2 processes.
Yeah, and then
Okay, so
falling
that's
over
2.
the snow.
But now also, Toby, the brine will help, I call it almost like Teflon, but not really, but it helps keep the ice and snow from sticking as much to the asphalt where you come in and plow. It helps clear it off better.
It helps a little bit, but the main thing is lowering that temperature where it doesn't freeze. And so when it does that, now if it gets below 18 degrees, then nothing's really going to work, nothing. So, and that's what you get into sometimes. I have seen people go in and put brine down, and then all this ice and snow is going to come in, and then it rains for 3 hours and just watches the brine run off the road.
So, I was actually going to ask for this to be on the agenda last month. It's funny that you brought this up.
This last one, because we talked about it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I'm glad to hear you're doing all the right things, because I agree with every bit of that. Sometimes we don't need to put anything on the road when it's not gonna last very long anyway, if we know ahead of time. Is there anything we can do as a procedural thing, as a committee, or just put in maybe that's for Mr. Ellis to do, or maybe for us, to maintain that type of a maintenance, to where somebody doesn't come along and change it to too hot of a mix and ruin all the roads, and that spare no expense attitude of just melt it and we'll fix the roads later doesn't happen. Is there anything we can do to stop that from happening under another administration or?
I think that's a valid point, but I think that's something that when you get to that point, if I'm no longer here, I'm not ever going to do it. I can tell you that right now. But I will add this, some of the things that I do is I buy sand and I mix sand in with the salt to give the road a little grit. And, sand's $15 a ton and salt's $100. So, it's kind of a little bit of a savings there, and you kind of do a blend. But that's something that, I feel like everybody on this committee needs to come down and see our brine set up and the things we do. I will call y'all and make sure we set that up, where I'll walk y'all through it. You have a full understanding of everything that we do and how we mix it up.
That would be really helpful, I'm sure all of us.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for a while, and we did it too, and I think I need to make sure that I did it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a reason for a motion. I don't see any reason for a motion, but thank you so much for talking about that. It helps a lot, because there's a lot of things I still didn't understand. The next thing, Ms. Bergville asked if we would add a possibility of changing the time of day of our monthly meetings to the agenda. And she talked about it, she said, I wonder if we could do, if there's any other options. And so I was thinking through it, and I thought, you know, what if we did do like an every other month, or is it something we need to meet every?
Discuss.
Oh, yeah, oh, sorry.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay, well, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Chairman, may I clarify?
Yes, you may.
I specifically asked if we could go to every other month, same time, same day, Monday nights at 8 o'clock, every other month. So,
Are you making a motion for that?
I'm telling you that I did not ask to change the time or day, I asked to change to every other month. So I'm clarifying.
I got a suggestion, I'm not ready to make a motion yet, but just a suggestion, maybe we can change. A lot of the problem I see this committee having is other committees end early, and we're waiting till 8 o'clock comes to start a meeting that didn't have to happen. But what if we change the time to 7:30, and if the other meeting's not done yet, guess what time we're gonna start? Whenever the other meeting gets done. It gets pushed back whether we like it or not to whatever start time, but for public notice, everybody would know to be
We'll be
here
here.
earlier, and we could start early if they end early.
Any other discussion on that? What are your thoughts about that, y'all?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I've told y'all the whole time, I go to bed early. So, I mean, I'm not really here right now. This is just the action we see. But,
As an observer, as a casual observer of the General Operations Committee, I don't think that's a reasonable ask. I think 8 o'clock is, if we're lucky, it will be at 8 o'clock.
Well, if we did the same thing in general ops, change it to 6:30.
No, sir.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of waiting around on these Monday nights when the meetings stack up. It works out to where they're on time or late, but sometimes they're early too, and we're just sitting around doing nothing because of the public notice. That's the one
Talking about a
reason.
meeting of it once a month. But my question though is, if we go to every other month, which I don't see a whole lot, the only problem I see is that there are things that we really need to discuss, because you're getting into road maintenance and things that are going to be more active.
well,
with the
there's
summer.
always a chance for a special call meeting at a different, it might be at 4 o'clock. I mean, we've done that with some other committees where it's say, hey, you know, and it's just a general, hey, can y'all meet Friday at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, whatever, and just get it done.
Got another thought. What about, when is it that financial management meets? They don't meet every single month, do they?
Mm-mm.
Their time is different. I mean,
I think they're at 8 o'clock on the second Monday.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that.
But-
I've got, understand, I've got my schedule, you know, I see patients, and
Sure.
not that I'm
Okay,
clear the day here.
I know, I was just trying to think through it. Because I was trying to figure out if there's a way to do it earlier in the day on that.
The frequency or is it time? What's the issue, frequency or time of evening?
I just wanted to go every other month at 8 o'clock on a regular Monday night. So this is March,
So it's just a-
so we won't meet in April, so we would meet in May, and then in July.
I understand every
Yeah.
other month. I asked if it was the frequency or the time of day that is the problem. And the answer you're telling me is frequency. You've got to do it every other month.
That's
I
according
got
to
that.
Ken. I don't know if frequency bothers me, but I think that it gets a little late. It does. I mean, I've had probably every one of you at one time or another, and then citizens too, have said, man, it's pretty late. Just for the fact of how that we like to make sure we're transparent. If we're meeting so late after hours, it makes it, we're public servants, so it's different. But I'm saying, I hate to ask citizens to be here that late. But this is a thought.
That's their prerogative in my mind. They can come or not. We're holding it, and I don't mind doing every other month. It's fine. We can always change it and have an extra one the odd month if needed, as long as you think we can take care of the business every other month.
Toby, I have a question for you. You know more as far as the business that comes up every month. What do you think? What is your opinion?
My opinion is the goal would be every other month unless something comes up that I feel like I need to make contact with all of you.
And you would feel comfortable that that wouldn't mess you up or anything?
No, I mean, I could lay it out and schedule it now. You know, I'm gonna be sending y'all emails and letting y'all know things as it comes up, but, I think we shoot for every other month.
Mr. Howe, would you mind speaking to this, because you had some experience? I just want to see, do you think there's any?
I think it's a fantastic
I saw you agreeing, I want to make sure.
The fact is, I would remind you too, that we are an advisory committee. He has authority, by the state legislature, since these committees were abolished, to, do what he wants to. So, but he doesn't operate that way. But if he has something, he can always email us or, get us together.
Yeah.
Good idea, Sean.
At the same token, though, can he also pick and choose when we have, something comes up silly like those school
Sure,
times?
but I talked to him, full disclosure, I talked to Toby today and told him how much I appreciated that he likes to be, he seems like he's transparent on it because he's always willing to talk through these things. And I like that because it gives people the opportunity to see what's going on in the highway department that he wouldn't have to do as much as, you know, with us being advisory, you know, and I appreciate that, so. Okay, so.
I will make the motion to go every other month.
I'll second it. Go ahead. Starting
May.
tonight.
Beginning May, okay. Motion's been made, seconded, all in favor, say aye. All opposed.
I hate to belabor this, but you need to be clear that you're not meeting in April.
He said it begins in May.
I said beginning in May.
Right, which means you're coming in April.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beginning now.
Oh, got it.
Well, would you like to restate the motion
No,
correctly?
it's already been voted on. Motion to reconsider.
Okay, go ahead.
Second.
Who's second? All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Got it. So, please make your motion, Sam.
Oh, I would like to make a motion that we will not meet in April, we will meet in May, and from May of 2023, we will begin every other month.
Got it. Okay, I'll
For our
second,
time.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, and before we move on, do we want to entertain the motion that Tim had talked about moving it to 7:30? Is that something that we don't want to even worry about trying?
Why is that an issue for anybody? I just would like to, I'd like to have a discussion about that, just to understand why. Can I make a motion
for discussion?
discussion?
And I'll second it, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Why would we not want to do that, start a little bit early, because we're all here with the other meetings?
We're not all here.
And
I've been seeing you all night.
I
I've
hang
seen you
out,
all night.
but I'm
I've seen
not-
you all night.
I did go and get me something to eat.
if we are running,
Okay, so there is some validity on that.
in the interest of
Do you
the
like the break?
citizens,
Do you like the break between?
and in the interest of the citizens who come, if they know it's going to be at 8 o'clock, and Gen Ops runs till 8:30, but we have, this commission cannot operate a meeting sometimes in even an hour, so I think it's safer to keep it at 8 o'clock. And if we're coming every other month, to me, that makes up for the fact that sometimes Gen Ops runs over, or what happens when ESS runs over, and education, and Gen Ops? Because we've been starting these meetings sometimes at 9 o'clock, and Toby and Christie have been here since 7:45, waiting. And I'm fine with waiting knowing every first Monday of every month it's gonna be from, leave the house at 4, get home, hopefully, before 1 a.m. That's my plan. So I just think 8 o'clock is a safer time for now. That's how I feel about it.
Well,
And then Mary can go home and eat supper.
I'm a night owl, I really don't care, I just throw something out there, so, yeah, I'm fine.
so, it's interesting because, Laura just said something, she just held up the sign, just like she was, voting for it there, but, I had people ask me before it came up about if we could meet on the county commission, but that, the only thing that messes that up when I ask for all the discussion is if it's a special call meeting, we get all messed up.
We have resource authority, we need to get stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah, another committee has moved to 6 o'clock before commission.
that makes it really tough.
Was it,
Yeah.
one of, Commissioner Brown's, I think.
The education.
Leave them alone.
Yeah, okay, so, there's no need to go any further. Okay. All right, so, report the road superintendent.
All right, guys, one thing that we had done, I guess it was last meeting, is it was unanimous, we passed the tractors, purchase of the tractors onto the budget committee to get that looked at. Well, it went on to the commission meeting, special recommendation, I guess, I think a couple of commissioners got together and asked if it was be put on. And it was voted on, and they asked for it to come back and to look into the process for bidding and make sure that we dot our i's and cross our t's and do everything that we're supposed to do. So, it did not pass, but it kind of did not pass with a caveat, it's like, check on this, and let's make sure that we got all this straightened out. So, I went to Tim Northley, and we got together and got the pricing back together, went through the state, the source 12 contracting, it can be bid out, like I said, it's good, which is a very good, it's the agency that does all the equipment for the state, and a lot of cities and counties piggyback off of that to get their pricing. And so what I did was just added to this, and on the last page, you can see where Kim had her verbiage added to this email and talked about that we could go through this process and be within our rights and regulations as far as proper procedure. I did check on the pricing, it's normal, it's went up, I think, a couple $1,000, but I did get the quotes, and I wanted y'all to see that and go through it, and let you know where it was at, and what I'm asking the committee tonight to do is, once again, we all pass this to budget, so we could get it looked at and voted on, maybe to go to commission for next week.
I'm gonna make a motion to pass it on the budget.
I want to discuss,
Okay,
yeah, I agree.
wait, we gotta vote.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're fine, you got a motion on the floor and you have a second, so it's approved.
Okay, good, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So, we've been hearing from citizens, ever since before we elected, that we need to focus more on roads and shifting some of the money that this county spends away from some departments that are, have more money than they need from the looks of some of the buildings. Towards highway wouldn't hurt my feelings at all, and I think this is an appropriate use of the money. We're talking about ARPA funds, right?
Yes, sir.
I think this is a good thing. I will support that. I hope we can get a whole lot more support out of the commission for this time. And thank you for verifying those quotes. You've done everything that they've asked you to do, so I'll be supportive.
So I kind of jumped the gun, sorry, but, so the motion's been made, seconded, that we pass this on the budget, so all in favor say aye.
I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
These new tractors, does John Deere have to work on them? Because I know some combines and so forth.
We have a really good shop staff, They understand the John Deere, tractors really well. They can do most of the work. Some of this 2005, I mean, these tractors are 18 years old. For whatever reason, this run of them was, we've got 2012, 15, and 21s. And this run right here seems to be the only one that has reoccurring issues with their transmission. And so, when you do go into work, there is some things that they have to do with the computer system set up to calibrate the transmission, and that's a cost. And like this one, number 118 that's listed in your packet, they cannot get it calibrated because of the wear parts and stuff. So you're at the point of where you just gotta, we've spent $5,000 or $6,000 trying to do it. Now we're gonna go spend $15,000 to put a new rear transmission in it. So that's some of the issues that we're getting at, and I know I'm calling commissioners, and I'll reach out to anybody that wants to come in the next few days. I'm gonna try to be showing them the tractors and the different things that are wrong with them, besides just being old. But this is something that I'm gonna try to do better going forward in time, is to schedule our equipment in a more fashionable sense to where they don't ever get this old, to where it's costing us this much money.
Do these tractors come with a warranty?
Do they come with a warranty? Yes, ma'am.
How long is the warranty?
I think it's 3 years, Mary.
So, is that parts and labor included?
It's 3 years on, you're talking about a new
Yeah, that's the
tractor.
Can it be a certain amount of hours?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I'm not commenting on anything, so don't be offended, but where are we at? We just voted on this, right? So we're done with this, right? Are we taking that vote back and discussing it more?
So, I need a little guidance, because I believe it's on me. So when the motion was made and seconded, and then we voted, and then while we were saying aye, I kind of was trying to stop it
Okay.
and let him talk.
So that vote didn't happen?
Yeah, so it was like aye while he was still talking.
And that was
Yeah.
my fault.
It was.
Well, no, that's fine. I was
I should have yelled.
No, the reason I'm asking is, if it's open discussion, I'll say comment too, but if we're done and ready to vote.
I just made the mistake and I didn't catch it before him, and that's why I was like,
Well, I don't mean to cut anybody out, so Commissioner John, if you had more to say, go ahead. I'll raise my hand in the queue.
My question was, because I was looking at the first thing, how much it's gonna cost us about the new mowers, the warranty, how much of a warranty do we have? Is it 3 years, you're saying, and is that just parts? I imagine you have people that work on them that just...
Yeah,
Because
it's parts of labor.
Yeah.
I mean, they fix everything, but that's time.
Well, the only concern I have was something like, maybe he was getting at was, if your guys work on them, does it break the warranty?
No, we had this discussion, Shannon made a good point a couple of weeks ago, and went down there and talked to Taylor, and I went back and revisited with Taylor and Josh, because I wanted to make a point where these tractors are at. If we did the repairs and say we put in the new transmission or the engine, parts is where, at this point, parts is the warranty, okay? And it's a year on the parts, whether we do it or they do it, it's the same.
Okay.
The difference is gonna be the $150 an hour rate.
That's if we repair the existing tractor.
Right,
Not the new one?
Not.
not the new.
So is it 3 years and 30,000 hours?
Well, truthfully, as much as they're running it, it probably...
Well, if we put 30,000 hours on in 3 years, we ain't gonna need them either.
So, Toby, you said you hope to do a better job with planning out purchases and expenditures for equipment in the future. And it just seems like this would be in order, and I hope we can sell the whole commission on this, because you've got 2012s, 15s, and 21s. You're going on a 3 to 5 year span between those, and then we got this one batch that's 7 years old, and other one's giving us all the problems. So had they been replaced?
Well, they're 18 years old.
All right, yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's a big gap
I don't wanna let that-
in the purchases and the timeline of how old they are, so this will help get us back on that track.
Have we got any other, would all the tractors pretty much be at least, you know?
Yes, it does, we'll be in good shape for a while after this on the track.
One thing too, not necessarily how old the tractors are, because we've got a 1976 Ford 3600, and don't have a lot of hours on it. But I've seen tractors that were 2 years old that were more out, you know. And how often,
We replaced an engine, we replaced the transmission already, and we're back to that point of doing that again. So, I mean, it's not, these have been run hard, and they're ready to, and what'll happen is a small municipality will buy them that uses them once or twice a month, and they'll be perfect for that, but not run all day, every day.
The main issue with what everybody in the private sector's not realizing about these, I think, is they run them for all day, every day, in the seasons, and then sometimes out of season. And you run the old one once a week for a few hours, you know, for a season. They're using them in the fall and the spring and summer, right? And we're on the farm, you know, using their farm season or bush hog season. But, so it is a different comparison. I think we're on the right track of pushing this forward.
So is that all discussions? Anybody else? Okay, all in favor with the motion to send this to budget, and the second, final chance, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? I didn't want to mess that one up again. Okay, so, Toby, would you mind discussing the litter grant and the litter figure? And before we go on, Steve or Eric, am I doing this wrong right now? I don't know, it seems like I don't want to be out of order. Do we need to make a motion to discuss this? Because we don't have a motion right now, so is it wrong?
Previous item, the new tractors, since you're actually voting on it, you got a motion and a second to send it to budget and you discuss.
But right now, we don't know if we have to be voting, right? So I'm correct for him just to go ahead. I didn't want to, even if I was wrong for the first half, I didn't want to be moving forward with it being wrong every time.
It's all under his report anyway, so we're fine.
We had questions about the litter grant some time ago, and I wanted to put it on that this is for information only, just to kind of discuss what we do, so y'all will know. But we do get a litter grant, and I will say Christie knows, as far as the paperwork side of it, much better than me at this point, but I may let her talk on some points of this, but we get a little under $90,000 a year from the state for a litter grant. And what I sent in the packet broke it down, what we could spend our money on in what areas and what we do. Sonny lets us use his trustees. Christie works about 10 hours a week on this management. We've got a full-time employee that takes the trustees out in our van almost every day. If they're not out, it's because I've made a decision to do something else. But we go out and pick up litter, and we look at the areas and try to figure out a week or two ahead of time what areas really need to be picked up. And believe me, citizens are really good at letting us know what areas need to be picked up. And rightly so. I mean, I've seen in the last, it seems like we went for a couple decades that, people were really good at not littering. And it seemed like it's coming back for whatever reason. And I was very thankful for TDOT maintenance getting their contractors out on 386 and 25 in different areas. And that was due to y'all calling. That was, we put pressure on them and they responded, so that was a good time. So the litter program, if you go to Sumner County Highway and look on our Facebook page, we're posting stuff about litters. It's to create awareness as much as we can. probably gonna do little infomercials and different things, because we think it's important. And, but when you do the breakdown, we do, Christie, what percentage do we do as far as making awareness? We violate our safety vest that we use in the roadways, it's litter. We do things like that where it's talking points. When people ask us about it, we talk about it in detail. But we bought some jackets with it on and some safety vests and different things like that. But we do just pick up the litter in the county right away, and that's it. I've been asked about city and state roads, and we don't handle that. But I do have contacts with the cities and very good relationships, and I talk to state almost daily. And they understand, the mayors have been in almost an uproar because it's just been really bad this first of this year for some reason. So I guess what I'd like to do, if you have any questions, if you've looked over the packet and kind of went through it, if you have any questions, me or Christie would do our best to try to answer them.
I will share with you, the resource, on the resource authority, we've had the same discussion about the trash and the fact that there's so much of it, and we're looking at possibly, it's a $500 charge if you don't tarp your trailer or you litter. That's the law, $500 trash. And they're looking at, they also give out pamphlets, but we make suggestions that it needs to be bilingual, because there's a lot of new people that have taken up the task of being junk collectors. And so they're not so much covering their wagons and all that stuff. So there's a campaign on their end too to help with this problem, because it's all over.
Who charges that $500 fine?
Well, if the state patrol, if you see that, you call them, the fine is $500 for littering.
No, but is it taken by the Tennessee Highway Patrol, is it resource authority, it's making sure?
The tarp law. They should come in and take the law.
So if they get caught by a highway patrolman or a sheriff's department or city cop?
So when they come in,
the risk.
well, when they come into the resource authority, if they're not tarped, then they're going to start notifying them that they're going to start fining, because they're not supposed to come in there without tarp.
Even the resource authority is going to start fining? Or they're going to notify somebody to come up there and fine?
Well, I'm not sure what they're going to do, because it's their procedure, but they said that they were going to start notifying people that they have a sign right when you go into the dump area that it's a $500, it's a tarp law. It's $500 fine if you don't have a tarp law.
I'm just saying laws are no good if they're not enforced, so I'm asking how they're enforced so we can educate the public and maybe do something with some kind of an advertisement.
They'll do that on there, and it's separate from what he's doing. I just want to give you that information that they are concerned about just.
Well, I've talked to deputies, and I've talked to Sonny in detail, and Mary will vouch for this, that, if they see somebody without a tarp, they pull them over quickly.
So I was in Montgomery County, and I saw an untarped dumpster, and it was completely full of carpet pieces. And I thought, my goodness, and that's the kind of thing, a lot of times people will just do that and not paying attention. I don't think it's the old-fashioned way. There's some people, but people aren't throwing things out their window as much like they did in the 80s. But now it's that's the kind of, because I've had citizens tell me about contractor materials a lot of times.
Actually, you mentioned new development, and you got 10 dumpsters in there, follow those dumpsters, and you'll just see it's blowing out.
Yes, and they stack them too high, and they blow out, and they blow across.
And it even says, they're not scratch higher than this.
Yeah.
And it's probably 8 out of 10 on. And once you follow that truck out of that development, you'll see it all over the way.
Absolutely.
There's more pickup trucks on the road too, and lots of people just tossing stuff in the back of the truck. It's not going to stay there. The question I have for Toby is, are you okay with even state route roads and city roads, people reporting to you if the word gets out and you're going to, you said you had contacts in other situations.
I
to
answer
handle.
emails every day, and when people are reaching out to me and asking me the question, I send them the phone numbers of people to talk to and the different departments to reach out to. So
Okay.
I'm very serious about it, and I get them down to the right people.
So if we could get the word out there to report it to a central point, you guys could have those numbers right there diverting it to where they need to go, and those people call
Yeah,
in.
if we could bypass it and not go through Toby, if it was just like if somebody could know the report.
Ahead of time.
You're not gonna be able to tell people if it's on this kind of a road, send it there, if it's on that kind of road, send it there, if it's on that kind of road, send it there, because they don't know what road they're on, if it's state, city, or county.
We have people call, wanna know, they don't know if they're in the city or the county.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, if we get a point of contact that would call when we see litter, call this number, or whatever, and I don't know if maybe just a suggestion, the campaign, post it on Facebook, and, put a public point of awareness, put it out there, and we all share it to our pages and things like that, but what else do you plan on doing to promote
Hey, I'm happy
cleanup?
people are asking about litter, if they're interested.
The state actually does not have a pickup. So,
They don't, so who does Vietnam Village?
Well, the T-Dot maintenance, Roy Longmaker, they have a crew, but they do not do it every day. So there's a form that you fill out on their T-Dot website, and you put in where the area they won't pick up, and then they will go pick it up. When I talked to him the other day, he said, my truck's down.
People are not gonna go through the trouble of filling out a form to request a litter pickup. If they could call somebody and tell them where it is, and hang up the phone, and keep on driving to work, that's the only way it's gonna help.
That's not really in our purview, it stinks, because we do get some phone calls and emails about it.
I'll tell you this, I've called them, and some other people, table called them, and they've responded. So, I didn't fill out a form, I just said, look, man, I'm getting a lot of pressure, I'm getting a call every day about 386, and I'm the road superintendent, and I don't want a thing to do with 386.
So this isn't a motion or anything like that we have to act on, but is it something you guys can put together, like a little, Facebook post? Some pictures and stuff like that with
Yeah,
the
we
phone
can-
number, and then we can all share it around?
on our Facebook website. Also, there's a cleanup coming up,
Yeah, March
March 25th.
25th, some shop.
Yes, and we're partnered with that group. We purchased,
Citywide Galvin and citywide.
it's all the cities.
Yeah, and the more.
There's different ones at different locations, and you can volunteer to help.
And I'd known about that, and there was some, a few citizens asked me, they said it would be really something if we could, as a county commission, go out there and kind of pick up in our district, alongside folks.
I do that every day.
yes.
How about just a suggestion, when you do your report of the highway committee, you make that announcement that if there's nothing else to say, you could really say we're having a big litter cleanup on March the 25th, and those that all you guys show up and just kind of give us.
March 25th, let me have that exact details, and I will make that. March
It's not
25th.
even all day either. It's only in the morning. Yeah, it goes until about 1.
Yes, it starts at when, about?
7, or 8.
I'll be happy to send you the information. Don't mind at all.
25th, 25th, get out of it.
Mayor's gonna send you that, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll make sure we do that, it'd be a nice little moment session.
That's a fundraiser.
I think I'll count it.
Are we ready to move on to?
Yeah, there's no motion to be made on that, so if you wouldn't mind telling us about it.
The policy is something that hasn't been, the policy handbook hasn't been looked at for several years, and what I've done basically is just went in and just kind of detailed some things out, put some things in there for people to have actual information and where there's no gray area, I feel like. Some of the things that we've had in the past that, when I come to office looking at it, me and David Long talking to, well, it's kind of a gray area. I'm trying to take the gray areas out and make it more legit. But most of the things, there's maybe, I don't know, probably 8, 9 things that I've changed. And the biggest thing I changed, and I want to be y'all were talking about transparency, I talked to the comptroller audit group that come and met with us, and I told them I was changing this, and this is something that I felt like was kind of bad. When we have guys that come work in the department, they, the first year, they get a week's vacation. And, on an election year, I'm not for sure the holidays, I think it's as many on a campaign year, it's 16, 17 paid holidays, something like that. And what was happening is that the paid holidays were based on 8-hour days, and we worked 10-hour days. And so every time that they got a holiday, they had to take 2 hours of their vacation time to add to their check to cut to make it whole. So there were some kids that were, you know, in the first 2 or 3 years of their career with the county, that they're eating up 32 to 34 hours of their vacation, adding to something that the county was giving them. And that's one thing that I wanted to change, to where they got paid, on the holiday, they got paid for 10 hours, because that's what we work, is 10-hour days. And I didn't see any reason in punishing them for something that we were given.
So when I read through this, the thing that stuck out was, and I believe it came up another time, is Sumner County employees, highway department employees will be given their birthday off with pay each calendar year. I don't even know that, my mind won't wrap around that exactly. Like, you know, I mean, I love a good old birthday party, but it just seems so strange that, I mean, I'm so thankful for the day that everybody's born, but I've never had my birthday off in my whole life. And I never even expected it.
I haven't either, but that's something that,
The airport said you can give me my birthday off, the visa business, they give me my birthday off.
several of the departments here do that.
It seems so strange.
And so, that's something that was already in place when I got here.
I know, I mean, I just to bring it up, I mean, it just, we're not giving anybody their birthday off, they are, which is really weird. It's like, you know what I mean, they're paying for the county employees to have their birthday off. I don't know, it just seems really odd.
They have to take it within a certain amount of time or they lose it. It's not something that you do.
We get 4 birthdays.
Do you have alternating shifts of 10 hours? So you work Monday through Thursday, or does anybody work Tuesday through Friday, where you overlap
No,
Tuesday
it's
through
Monday through
Thursday?
Thursday, unless there's an emergency or something's going on that we need.
Even in the busiest time of year, so they always get 3-day weekends?
Yeah. Like I said, now, there's times that you have to snow, it's different paving schedules. There's gonna be times that we pave on a Friday because of where we're at within the project, and it makes sense to do.
So then will they might work 50 hours that week, or would you have them come in on Tuesday?
They would get comp time. We do not pay overtime. They would get comp.
All right, okay.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, that's something that's probably not even in our purview, but I just had to bring that up, it just seems
Right.
bizarre. Wonderful, you know, for the employee, I would say that's not wonderful.
Is that a request you're asking? Is that a request you're asking for?
No, he just going
Change
over
the
all that,
policy.
right?
This is something you're doing. This is information, I'm just trying to show y'all what I'm doing, and then, it gets sent to legislation. Or,
We don't have to send it?
it comes from us, but I'm.
That's what I'm saying, you're asking for a vote here tonight to do that?
I don't know that it's really not voted.
It isn't. You're just sending it to the
I'm just sending it to
He's
legislation.
just showing us for informational purposes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't need to go through and scratch it up, is what Tim's asking.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm good, makes sense.
Okay, so that's, give us the other half ones, if you don't mind, Toby, just so we know. So, is there anything else that,
We added that.
you just cleaned it up?
I just cleaned it up, and, you know, there was little things in there like you physically have to work a 40-hour week before you can go and get comp time. You know, there was some discrepancies if we work 10 hours and you work 12, is that overtime? And I told him, I says, no, you gotta work 40 first, and anything over 40 will be considered that comp time range. And so, because of the descriptions or the discussions, I put it in there, you physically work 40 hours first, and then you would be considered for comp time pay.
Okay.
That's consistent. That's consistent with county policy.
You got rid of references to taxing. Thank you for that. I like that.
Is that comp time for time, or is it
Time and a half.
Compound is down.
I believe it's right there.
Yeah.
My compound is straight.
You're the only department that, you might need to talk to the sheriff.
That's the way it's always been.
On camera, he said it.
Compound is straight time.
If it's good with y'all, I would like to move to adjourn, and if y'all have any questions, I will.
Does the county mayor, does the county mayor have
He
any?
gives a voice in this, I think.
Yeah, we can't do that, we can't make us do it. Okay, well, I don't think there's a motion to be made then on the, on this, correct?
Right.
Okay, and so, County Mayor, do you have any, or County Executive, do you have any?
No.
Mayor, yeah.
City executive.
I've changed it.
No, I just want to point out the good work that they did with these storms, getting trees out of the way and limbs out of the road. They worked hard Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and still trying to clean up. So, that's all I've got.
And I will do a little shout out to the citizens, if there's anybody's watching this, all the tens of you that are watching this video right now. But I really appreciate the citizens coming out and helping us. They've seen us working, you see a truck go by, and next thing you know, here comes a tractor with a chainsaw. And we've got great citizens here in this county, and I really appreciate it. And
I agree, I've seen them in the driveways and everything, just helping our neighbors, I really do appreciate that. Well, and the commission business, I think that was I don't think there's a reason, we don't normally have that one on there. So, we got one more motion. There's
There's an extra four, that missing 10, so. There's an extra four. It all evens out,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.